Any plans on that,
Yeah.
or maybe?
Maybe now.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe
I was
now.
more thinking about what got Earl to where he, or you
Where
guess,
he was,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, the prequel, so to speak.
Okay, yeah, I loved, and I also, because I'm a publisher too, I look at everything. I love these designs these drawings that you have before each chapter. Did you do that yourself too?
No, 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 no.
Okay.
They were, it's clip art.
Okay, okay, okay. So what inspired you to write this book?
This book is about Vietnam veterans, and the main character is a Vietnam vet, and my mother used to work at a hospital where a lot of Vietnam vets were, and they released them after they didn't have funding. They were released, and most of them became homeless in New York City. And I felt that it was very, very sad that men who have fought for our country and died for our country, or just fought and had a hard time readjusting, were set loose in New York City and looked down upon and degraded. And I just thought that that was just horrific. The book came out of a weird thing I found of just, the book, Earl used to be Ned in the character, where it was just going around collecting trash, space trash. But it evolved a little bit differently because I wanted to make Earl a sympathetic and loving character. I wanted him, since he was a veteran of war, I wanted him to be somebody that people would have a part of him that people would admire and look up to, and have this sense, even though that he was homeless or isolated from civilization, there was something about him that was revered. And I thought that contrast between being homeless and being revered was a very good thing to look at, because we don't really understand homeless people's background. We just assume that they're not had problems in their past life.
Exactly, yeah. Most people tend to walk away from the way they look, or because they look scary, or because they look below you.
Yeah, exactly.
They're kind of a, like, oh, what are you doing here, kind of. And I don't see anybody reading this book and not connecting with him.
Yeah, and that would, yeah.
Story. It's like I went out to Seattle over the weekend, and when I saw people in the street, I was like, I wonder how much they have connection with this person here that I read in the book, with Earl. You did mention here that, see, I can find it. In honor of my great uncle, Roy Ott, and all soldiers who lost their existence fighting for our civilization. Was Roy Ott a veteran?
He was a veteran of World War I. He was my great uncle. And there's a little bit of a story behind him, because when he came back from World War I, he became like the black sheep of the family. And this was all before post-traumatic stress disorder. But he became a gambler, a womanizer. He never stayed in one place. And everybody just thought of him as a black sheep of the family, or he was no good. And I felt that this man deserved some honor, because he did fight for our country. And even though he didn't pass away or was killed, he did put out part of his life. He lost his existence. He lost who he was as a man in that war. And I think it was very important that even though they may not have passed away, there are many men out there who are homeless or trying to find their way back into civilization after losing their soul or their humanity at war. So that's why I wanted to dedicate it to my great uncle.
Good. I love the contents in this book. From the very moment, I liked the cover, and then I read the contents, and I'm like, I got to read this from beginning to end. I'm not going to jump anything. Some of the table contents are, the titles are awesome. Man Seeks Answers in the Stars. Right then and there, it tells you, it's just, Declaration of the Quest, Search for Intelligent Life. I'm just picking a few. Faith is found at a crossroads. I love that one. Danger lurks in the darkness of mankind. The past illuminates the future. It's almost like those things you find in the Chinese cookies.
Really?
The past illuminates the future. I love that. The end brings new beginnings. That's but there's a lot more to the contents. How did you come up with all these incredibly wonderful table of content titles?
Each one of those chapters is based on a period of mankind's history. The book is meant for, as he's finding his civilization, or finding civilization, finding his way back home, he's entering through a chapter of humanity's history. And each chapter, each of those titles represents a stage of human history. In Search of Intelligent Life is Neanderthal time. The darkness was the Middle Ages, or the Dark Ages, obviously. Faith Found at a Crossroads is when religion took over humanity, and Western religion took over, the gods or whatever, the many gods. So each chapter represents a state in human history and human evolvement. And he walks through, even in today, history keeps circling itself, and evolving. And he walks through a certain part of history in his journey. And so each one of those chapters represents a period of history. Wow. In present day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is so awesome, the way you explained that. One of the things that when I started reading this book, Edge of Civilization, by Jennifer Ott, I felt like I was reading a modern Don Quixote de la Mancha. I don't know if you ever read that, but I really felt, because it was kind of like, it showed these, in the beginning when I started reading, I was like, maybe he's from outer space. Mm-hmm. Maybe he's truly who he is. Mm-hmm. Maybe he's not really lost. That is, maybe they just dropped him off on Earth and he's stuck here, waiting for, beam me up, Scott, Scotty. And so the idea of how, did you get some of the ideas from these people, from the people they were at the place where your mom worked, or was it from your uncle? Or is it like a combination of everything that you developed his character?
It was a combination of everything. I think it was a combination.